Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with a brand new video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the WWE Legend Series Mr. Perfect figure. Mr. Perfect, better known as Curt Hennig, passed away on actually the anniversary of his death was February 10th, so that was a few days ago. He actually passed away on February 10th, 2003, so it's been about 21 years now he's been gone. And Mr. Perfect, one of the all-time greatest intercontinental champions ever. He is one of those guys that you hear on a lot of lists of greatest wrestlers to never win the world title, and his career is very interesting because had it not been for his, I think, some severe back problems, it's very possible that he could have held the championship at some point. Because when you look back at the 90s, you had Bret Hart, who was a very comparative to that time, and we're talking about early 90s or early to mid 90s, or pretty much 90s period. Bret Hart, he was the top guy. Also, Shawn Michaels later became a top guy, and Mr. Perfect was right along with them as far as he and Bret had many great matches together. Most notably their SummerSlam 1990 match, actually SummerSlam 91 match, which was the match that really made Bret Hart's singles career in WWE. And then he has a match for Shawn Michaels as well, and he was considered in that era as good of a worker as they were, right along. They were three of the better, athletic style, you could really say modern workers, as far as working a style that really laid the groundwork for a lot of what we see in wrestling today. So let's get back into the figure. So I got this figure a couple of months ago, and like I said, no better time than today than open it up. So we're just gonna see what is in here. And we see the front of it, very cool pose. Mr. Perfect with the championship belt. We have his trademark towel that he wore to the ring, and then the interchangeable hands. And then on the back, we see the other figures in this series. Triple H, which I have that figure. $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and the Greg the Hammer Valentine. So we are going to open up. And this is actually I'm pretty certain this is my only Mattel Mr. Perfect figure. I may have a Jax figure, but I'm not even sure about that. But he is a guy that I didn't have many figures of. So when I saw this, I was like, yeah, this is definitely worth picking up. So and let's cut a little, which I probably don't need to do. It's not the end of the world. I can probably get off with my hands, but I'd just rather be safe than sorry after some of my previous videos trouble I've had opening. Okay. We're gonna leave those accessories in there. We don't need those. This is the bulk of this figure. So we have the Intercontinental Championship, the classic version from the 90s, my favorite version of that belt ever, and Mr. Perfect. Matter of fact, we're going to keep the belt on. It's no need in really taking it off. Also, I'm going to put that on the ground so it doesn't interfere. I mean, the basics of the figure, as far as the head. I mean, head scan is flawless. I mean, this is a great. I mean, this looks just like Curt Hennig. You have just the nice hair, and then the what's the word, the intense look on his face. And Mr. Perfect just always had a look of confidence. I mean, he always looked like he knew exactly what he was doing at all times in the ring, even walking to the ring. I mean, just so much charisma. Really, he really just carried himself as a wrestler. He could work. He wrestled like a top star. He carried himself like a top star. The only thing that really held him back in that era was, his size, and the fact that he had bad injury history. Had he been healthy throughout the 90s, I really think he could have held the belt in WWE. And then but let's get back to the figure. And then the back, and we got the boots with the Mr. Perfect lettering on it. And this does the shirt, not sure if the shirt, oh, the shirt does come off, I think. I don't know. it's the yeah, I don't see myself ever taking it off because this is, I think that this is kind of that new soft goods material they started using with the elites, like over the last, I think, year and a half or so. So loose feeling, but good feeling shirt. It's still plant. You know, I prefer this far more than cloth. So it's really, really good feel, actually, really good feel. I don't think it can come off now. I would take it off anyway. Um, but yeah, good solid figure. Yeah, and I really like these knee pads. They're just really distinctive, and maybe it's just the length of them. But again, this is Mr. Perfect's attire to a T. If you watch any footage of him from the '90s in WWE or late '80s or early '90s WWE, this is exactly how he looked. I mean, this is a dead ringer. So again, great figure. Mr. Perfect. And just to discuss a little further his career, we're gonna now, after he left WWE, when he went to, he left WWE. I think it was due to a lot of stuff with the injury and then insurance policy he had, so he technically couldn't wrestle for his last couple of years in WWE. So if you remember the last time, well, not the last time, but in the '90s, he actually was a manager of Triple H when Triple H was really starting to climb the ladder. And then in '97, he went to WCW and had a very memorable introduction as, the fourth horseman to replace Arn Anderson. And he, probably his biggest moment, WCW moment thus by far, was his reveal as the new member of the NWO when he turned against the Horsemen in that War Games match at Fall Brawl '97. And then after that, he just really petered out, as a lot of guys in WCW did, just due to the huge roster they had. And that was pretty much the end of his career on a major stage as a major, player, I guess, in his prime years. Now he returned. Now after WCW went out of business, I think he did a couple of indie tours and things like that. He was actually a part of early TNA wrestling. And then he returned to WWE, and my timeline may not be correct. I think that was before TNA, I think, possibly. But anyway, or maybe not, but in any case, his last big hurrah on the national stage in WWE was when he was a surprise entrant in the 2002 Royal Rumble, and he gave a pretty strong showing in that match. I've never watched that match before, but I believe from what I read, he made it to, I think the final 4 or 5. So he was hanging in there with major stars like Austin and Triple H and gave a pretty strong showing. Because of that showing, they signed him to a contract, and then not too long after that, he was released. And I think maybe just due to maybe more personal issues or whatnot, maybe substance abuse may have had a role, just being unreliable. But that was the end of his career on a major stage for good at that point. And then he tragically passed away in 2003, as so many of his peers from that '80s '90s heyday. I mean, you can just take such as Brian Pillman, Road Warrior Hawk. Just countless guys who just didn't make it deep into their 40s at all. So again, just really tragic ending to a very memorable wrestler. Like I said, many people, if you grew up watching Kurt Hennig, especially during his WWE, his prime in the early '90s, a lot of people will say he was one of the greatest wrestlers to never really hold that world championship. But even in spite of that, he still carved out a good career for himself, and is a name we're still talking about to this day. So that is all for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm recording this on Valentine's Day, of course, and I should have this uploaded. So yeah, same day too. But again, just hope you are enjoy yourself. Love on yourself, your family, friends, and just be good. And also, please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to everyone who has been watching, liking, commenting on the videos. Again, I definitely appreciate it, and I will talk to you again after a while.